All right, my name is Nima. I'm a data scientist. I'm the lead data scientist at my company, Quicargo. Today I decided to take another approach in introducing our company. Instead of trying to sell you something, I'm going to build up an argument as to why our company should exist, or why such a company should exist in the first place. Right, so I think it's fair if I start with this slide. So essentially we are having a challenge, as our lovely friend said. We observed that more than 50% of trucks in Europe are roaming around either fully empty or half empty or partially empty, which is a ridiculous number. Think about it. Out of every 10 trucks that you see either in the city or on the road, anywhere, 5 out of 10 are going to be either empty, fully or partially empty. And it causes, of course, inefficiency, profit losses for the carrier company, for the person who's shipping because they have to pay a higher price, causes fuel waste, and I think it's safe to say that it contributes a great deal to congestion on the roads and pollution, CO2 emissions, greenhouse gases, and so on and so forth. And it has, or it can have, several reasons. Now, of course, I'm not really in a place to analyze like this global problem, but what we observe is that on a macro level, right? On a macro level, let's talk about the Netherlands. At any given moment, statistically, if you think about it, there are different trucks on the road, and these trucks are loaded to varying degrees. Some of them have a space for 6 more pallets. Some of them have a space for 5 more pallets. And of course, there's somebody in some corner of the country that wants to ship 5 pallets or 4 pallets. So essentially, it's a matching, it's a personalization problem, the way we like to see it at least. And I don't know, probably you have heard, what is that saying? It goes something like, there is somebody for everybody, which is not really true, but we think that there is some suitable truck for every piece of cargo. It's bound to exist, statistically speaking. And so the issue is that these two things are not really finding each other all the time. And also, there is the problem of speed of business, as I like to call it. The thing is that nowadays we can go on Amazon and order a waffle maker or whatever, and we cannot even wait 2 days for it. And that's a problem, because then we are promised a 2-day shipping, and this thing is like, it needs to arrive in 2 days, and it's not like the truck can wait, okay, 2 waffle makers, 3 waffle, we want it instantly. So that's a problem, and we can't really slow things down. We can't go back to the days where we had to wait 10 days for the waffle maker. So basically we need to find another way to make things sustainable and cut back on these problems, essentially. Now, also, I think this chart is really relevant here. So the red line, as you can see, is the reduction target of the European Union. It's not exactly the SDG, but it's completely related. And what we're saying is that, all right, so let's take the year 1990 into account. We had X amount of greenhouse emissions, and we want to reduce it in 2050 by 80%. It's a very ambitious goal. But the thing is that, as you can see, many industries are actually coming towards that. They're basically following that line. A bit jittery, but they are doing it. Except for the lovely transport company. As you can see, it's like it's just following another line. Like, yeah, it's doing the exact opposite, which is really a problem. Now, I think at least partially because of the reasons that I explained. And also, if you look at the greenhouse gas emissions in the European Union between the 90s, the beginning of the 90s, and until 2016 at least, which is the official report of the European Council, I believe. And you see that, okay, so in general, the emissions have been reduced, but transport was increased. And out of that chunk of transport that you see on the bottom, 94% of it is caused by road transport. So it's still like horrible, horrible figures. And if you see where this road transport is taking place in Europe, we can zoom in a little bit. On the right, you can see the hubs of these, basically a land freight and road transport. Paris, Munich, Prague, Duisburg, Antwerp, Amsterdam, also Southeast UK, London. And if you look on the left, you see the spectacularly named Blue Banana. I don't know if you have heard of it. It's called the Blue Banana. So it's an imaginary line starting from London, ending in Milan. I never understood why they call it Blue Banana. And if you want to search it on Google, be sure to include the word Europe. You might not like what you see. There's some really, no, anyways. So all of these brings me to the point that what if we could do things a bit differently? And I would like to talk about sharing economies, how sharing economies work. Of course, okay, I don't need to introduce it. Sharing economies is exactly what it sounds like. And if you look at like the beginning of human history, you see that we didn't really own anything. We didn't own land, we didn't own material wealth. It was just basically a way of sharing land, or basically using whatever you needed. There was no ownership in the modern sense, at least. And now we have come to a point where the average household, at least in the US, is what I heard, contains 300,000 items. So if you count like every pair of socks, every pen, every pencil, every notebook, every single thing, 300,000 items is really a crazy number. And I think that we are right now at a pivot point. So we are seeing more sharing because our resources are not always utilized, right? You see households where they have 2 or 3 cars. What are they really doing with those 3 cars? Okay, go to work. What about during the day? Nobody's using that asset. And of course, the cost of ownership in certain industries or certain fields has been rising constantly. Think about fuel prices, think about parking prices, road tax, property tax. So it's becoming, at least in some areas of living, less and less convenient to own things. And that's basically what gave rise to sharing economies. There are definitely many successful examples of it. You have, for example, Airbnb. So you don't really need to have like a beautiful holiday home in south of France. You can just, book one for 4 nights of the year that you can go there. And you don't really need to have a car anymore, because if you need a car, there's a car rental service, or there's a company like Car2Go. And it basically solves your problem on spot, and basically that company as a goal has 100% utilization of their assets. So because that's what they're living for, that's what they're fighting for, they are going to be more successful than me as a person in utilizing their assets. And the role of technology here is, of course, it's basically the backbone of everything. Like it's all about knowing things. It's all about data, information, awareness. And if you think about these companies like Airbnb or Car2Go, basically they don't have any asset in the common sense. What they have is that they know things. They know that there's a car in there and there's a person there looking for a car. And so this brings me to the introduction to our company. Our company is called Quicargo. We are an online platform that connects empty trucks to any business needing transportation in real time. We ensure that the transportation is done efficiently in the freight industry, and we try to reduce the CO2 emissions and congestion on the road at least as a side effect. A bit about our company. We have been operating in the Netherlands since 2016. In 3 rounds, we have raised over 5 million euros in fundings. Our main focus is pallet distribution. And so far we have had 3,600 shippers and 400 carriers. And we have shipped 55,000 pallets so far successfully. We have lost a few in the middle, but yeah. And about this platform that I just talked to you about. So in this platform we have, basically we have shippers, and we have Quicargo, and we have carriers. So shippers are basically any business that is trying to send something from point A to point B. Usually it's between businesses, at least in our case, it's a B2B business. And they, traditionally speaking, they spend a lot of time on the phone or emailing different carriers and freight forwarders, looking for for a suitable solution. Delays, everything. They have actual groups or departments of people that look for transportation solutions, which is quite inefficient because how many carrier companies do they really know? 10, 20, 50? And that's where we have the matching problem. So, except in Quicargo, they don't do that. They just, like in any platform, they just enter the data. Like they say, all right, I'm gonna ship this and that, and from this point to that point, and these dates, and it's done. Once they hit the button, it's done. We take care of it. And how do we take care of it? By using the network of carriers that we have. Now, carriers on the other side, usually and traditionally at least, they spend a lot of time again on the phone, arguing with the often naive shipper that wants to, ship a palm tree from Groningen to someplace, and it's difficult, it doesn't fit on the pallets, so these things, right? And they usually have unutilized assets, many of them. As we speak to them, their main issue, or one of their main issues, is that they cannot utilize their trucks, their assets, their planners all the time. They have gaps, they have a sparsity in their business, and that's really hurting the business. And so essentially what we do is that we tell the shipper, okay, you come to our platform, place your shipment, you will save CO2 because we put your pallet in the right place, first of all, because the alternative is a not very environmentally friendly solution. They save a lot of time. Actually, some of our shippers have integrations with us, which means that they don't even have to go to the platform. Like at the end of their production pipeline, when the last event, when the last QC is signed automatically by the system, a request of shipment is generated to us and we take care of it. So even that is possible. Same thing with our carrier, of course. So they save a lot of time, the shippers. And so the carriers on the other side again, they have schedules. They have trucks and they have schedules. This truck has to do this tower today, and so on and so forth. And we take these schedules in the cases that the carriers agree with us, and we basically analyze it, and we try to inject the right order, right transaction into the right schedule, right truck, right company. So it would be much more beneficial for the carrier company as well, because we give them transactions that are really suitable, or close, in the proximity of that specific truck, is already en route, so they don't have to do a long detour. And all in all, we try to make things efficient for both sides. And in a short sentence, we try to find the best truck for each and every shipment. And basically, this is the gist of our platform. There are, of course, many other particularities. And if I were to show you how it's done, basically this diagram kind of sums it up. Think of this as the supply chain of a specific product that goes from the right, which is the production unit, the production company. Something is produced here, and one of the destinations that it needs to go to is these 3 shops here. Also, it needs to go to different places. So nobody really sends a truck to this area, sends a truck to that area. So they usually have a way of working which is called cross-docking, using distribution centers. So the way it works is that, okay, goods are produced, we have a full truck picking it up, and they deliver it to a distribution center, where it's basically like dispatch, like the exact same way that post works. And then the next distribution center, usually the next day, the second day, there's a truck that picks up and starts delivering, or starts basically bringing the pallets to the next distribution center. So sometimes they have drop-offs or even pickups in the way, and sometimes they don't, just go straight to the next distribution center, usually in another province, and so on. So the last piece of the supply chain is that, okay, the good arrives at the retail store and me and you, we will buy things. So the thing is that after this truck here does the first or second deliveries, now there's an empty spot here. Now this is basically the core of what we are trying to achieve and what we have achieved so far is that, okay, so we have this Quicargo shipper here who wants to ship 2 pallets or 1 pallet, and there is like, okay, at least space for 2 pallets here because they have into like 2 points. So they have less than a full truckload. So that's what we are doing. We are pushing less than truckload, LTL, cargo, to the most suitable truck on the road with empty space. There are different trucks on the road. Some of them are full, some of them aren't. We try to find the best one using basically different variables, different criteria. We try to also incorporate the preferences of our shippers and carriers as well. So for example, this carrier says, hey, I don't do ADRs, don't give me ADRs. I don't do hazardous goods. Okay, so we're not going to do that. Or this shipper says, I want carriers that are more on time than carriers that are safe. So any sort of preference. So this is basically a matching engine in between. And I don't know how to say this. It's like Tinder for trucks, basically. It's like Tinder for trucks, our CEO likes to say. Yeah. And I don't know if I were too fast or too slow. I don't know if it was understandable.
Yeah, there's 2 dots going from the distribution center back to the...
Oh yeah, because usually many trucks do the same cycle almost every day. So from the distribution center, they usually bring raw materials to the production center as well. So that also could be the case. Yeah, that also happens. Okay, so if it was clear enough, I would like to show you our platform and also the new algorithm that we have been designing in the past months. Is that okay? Yeah. Great. So, all right. So here's the platform. Where is this? This is the demo app. I hope, I don't know, our operations isn't working anymore. It's 6:30. I don't know if I place an order. I don't know what happens, but I'm gonna try. I hope I remember the password. Oh, marvelous. Okay, so this is basically our demo environment. It's not the real thing, but it's very close to our real platform. So it's basically focused on simplicity. It revolves around simplicity. So think of the transportation manager of a production unit or of any other company that doesn't have really time to go through complications and So we try to make it very simple. Let's say you want to ship something from our office, which is here. Good. And you want to send it to find a weird place. Magra.
Random.
It's not very far. No, actually, I need to be a bit more specific. What about this? Okay, better. And do you know a postcode in there? I just okay. Alright, I'm gonna try Amsterdam. Okay, this is better. So first of all, we are seeing that this is a residential area, so certain trucks or certain vehicles cannot go there. Like you cannot really send a 13-meter long truck to the streets of the pipe. So that's also a consideration that we are taking into account. And so basically we can choose the type of cargo that is going to be sent. Say it's, all right, textile. Let's say I need a lap clip as well. I don't know why, but let's say I want to ship 1 pallet, or no, maybe 2 pallets of this dimension for a total of 320 kilograms. And what happens is that, bam, so we have an offer. So this offer is essentially the Quicargo's offer. It looks like a bidding system that somebody is saying, hey, pick me, but it's essentially Quicargo that's taking full responsibility of your transaction. And we know what to do with it. It's valid usually for 10 minutes, and once you hit accept, I haven't done a full sign up, but once you hit accept, it's basically done. And basically, our algorithm, and in the case of a failure, our operations team takes care of it, and it gets to that location. So yeah, this was the platform, and so the last thing I want to show you is our algorithm. So right now, this transaction comes in. We look through the schedules that we have in not really a traditional way, but in a way that, all right, we know that this carrier usually has free space in that area. So kind of an approximate way of finding empty space. But we decided to take it a step further, have the actual schedules of our carriers, those that do want to collaborate with us, and then we do a more smart empty space matching, let's say. I think I have downloaded this. Okay, so this is just like a view of what is happening in the background right now. This is of course not our platform, as you can see. But let's say that we are having a similar transaction, I don't know, from here to, this time let's try, let's see if we find something good. And 320 kilograms, 0.8 loading meters. And okay, so let's see what the algorithm can do. Usually under 10 seconds or under 5 seconds, we can find a nice match within that range. Okay, so now it's working, and jackpot. So basically, what you can see here is that this is a very nice transaction actually. So the pickup is here in Amsterdam, and we have a carrier and a truck that is going to do this route. So starting from their home base, starting from basically their depot, they want to do point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then go home, right? And this takes usually around 1 day, with some gaps in between and so on. So the nice thing is that we were saying is that, okay, so it goes to point 1, before going to point 2, has a short trip of only 19 additional minutes, and picks up our lovely pallets as well. So the thing is that here, as you can see, it's a very easy to reach transaction for this truck. It's already screened, so they just accept it, right? And it's also basically does not limit the shipper, right? Because the shippers usually like to say, okay, I want this to be picked up or delivered at this certain time, but then there might be restrictions, we might not find the right carrier or the right truck, so that would make it more expensive. But here, since we have much more information, it's much more efficient. Of course, we have, okay, let's say that this carrier doesn't really like it and says, all right, today, I don't know, it's my son's birthday, I'm not working. And then we go to the second most efficient truck for this specific transaction. Is this one between points 5 and going home? They can pick this up comfortably with 37 minutes, which is actually an average amount. And these are basically fallback scenarios, 3, 4, and 5. So I have decided to show only up to 5. Like, this is not super efficient, but this is still doable. So you have to come 52 minutes additionally. And yeah, so basically this is the whole idea. The whole idea is that we have the schedules of our carriers without really knowing where they are. Actually, we don't need really GPS data for this because it's really sensitive. There are like GDPR issues. And so basically only with retrieving the schedules from their systems, while we're integrating with them, with only getting the schedules, we can find a nice match, and it's already working, the demo phase, in the test phase. with a couple of carriers. And we are hoping that we can scale this up, and it would basically solve the ad hoc shipments of many of our shippers, and give much more business to many of our carriers. And then, yeah, that basically sums it up. We have some internships and jobs. You can contact my lovely friend Justina, Quicargo. And I don't know if you have an investor here, but if you have got some money somewhere
in your pocket.
Yeah, no, I'm joking. But for any other inquiry, including investments, you can talk to our CEO, Avishai, at quickcargo.com, and that wraps it up.